Welcome, Greg here. In this video, I'm going to explain how you can drink less. To start off with, I want to give an overview of why we drink. We got to have a map of the battlefield so we can know how to plan our attack. We can't talk about drinking, especially the drinking that we do that's against our will, without acknowledging the urge. The question is, where does the urge come from? There are three pathways. The first is what I call the desire pathway. It's the positive emotion we have toward alcohol that comes from all the thoughts that we have about it. Our internal, our own little personal Super Bowl commercial. We like the taste, we like the buzz, we like how it works with socializing. We have associations between drinking and drinking along with things we like to do, like drinking and golf, drinking and fishing, drinking and grilling. So it's this internal dialogue, creates some desire. That's one of the pathways that creates the urge to drink. The other pathway I call avoidance. What are we avoiding? Emotion, frustration, regret, stress, a lot of the negative emotion that comes about because of how we react to our life. We wish often that life were different, that things were easier, people were different, people treated us better. So it's all those thoughts, our interpretations of the world outside create these negative emotions, and because most of us have never been really taught or learned how to deal with emotion, our tendency is to avoid it, and we know that alcohol does that. And the third pathway is what I call the habit cycle. A habit is a thing that happens when we do some activity that brings us a reward, and we do it over and over in kind of the same way. Like every day we get home from work, we have a drink. Well, our brain starts to make an association between the reward and that repeated activity. It becomes a cue. So when you next encounter that activity, the next time you come home from work, your brain says, it's time to drink, and you get an urge. So there's our map. And now I'm going to talk about where we put pressure on these pathways in order to drink less. You can see that everything funnels down through the urge to the drink. So obviously, that's a critical place to put our attention. And what I teach is how to drink decisively. And this is a process of paying attention, of turning off the autopilot, and starting to bring an awareness to your drinking, and recognizing that with every drink, in that moment before you open it, pour it down your throat, open the fridge, whatever the event is, you've got a choice to say yes or to say no. Now, there's much more to this than that. If it was just easy to pay attention and say no, you wouldn't need to be watching this video. But bringing this awareness to that moment is a pivotal first step. Then we add this process that I teach of allowing the urge. And this is a matter of first paying attention to what's going on before you want that drink, and noticing that basically the urge is a bunch of sensations in your body. And this allow process is a way to engage with those sensations that's very different than resistance, willpower, white knuckling, and it makes it easier to handle the urge without drinking. One of the byproducts of that is that when you do this, the habit cycle starts to break down. The association between drinking and the cues becomes less frequent, and therefore the cues have less power to create urges. How about the desire cycle? What do we do there? The approach there is to identify and catalog the thoughts you have that make up your commercial. Maybe it's taste. Do you want the taste of a beverage to be such a big deal in your life? Man, I was into the taste of IPAs, and I would go around thinking, I love the taste, and it created desire for me. I still enjoy the taste of a good beer, but it has no power to me. I haven't invested it with any power. Oh yeah, this tastes fine. That's all right. It's not a big deal. So by reframing these positive thoughts, by, for example, really considering what is it about socializing that you like, and really what is the role of alcohol there, and how can you get what you want without drinking so much. We could start to change our thinking from I love alcohol to it has its place, and instead of desire, the emotion toward it is mild appreciation. You're going to have a lot fewer urges if that's kind of how you're relating to alcohol in this desire pathway. How about avoidance? What do we do there? Why do we want to avoid emotion? Bottom line is ignorance, I would say. Nobody has ever taught us what emotion is really, why it matters, what the role of it is. And in fact, we're probably taught the opposite, that it doesn't matter, that it's unimportant, that especially men shouldn't let emotion rule their lives. So it's no wonder that we avoid it. What's the solution? It's again this allowing process. I teach you that emotion is, in the end, the thing that we're reacting to is just like a vibration in our body, various sensations of tension or turmoil in the belly. And when you move towards those and really turn your awareness onto them and watch them happen to you, it takes their power away. You see, like, this is no big deal. This is far less of a bothersome sensation than you may get from doing hard physical work or from hard exercise. And this is so powerful. When you become a person who can allow emotion, who's willing to feel his emotions, you can do anything. And why? Think of all the stuff that you've not done in your life because of wanting to avoid an emotion, avoid the feeling of embarrassment, the feeling of rejection, the feeling of failure. When you become somebody who's willing to feel his emotions, you don't have to avoid that stuff. And the courage and the confidence that results from that can really kind of set you free. Back to this negative emotion, it'd be nice to have less of it. Well, where does it come from? We say things like, she made me mad, or my job stresses me out. But the fact is, things outside of us can't create emotion. Our emotion comes from our thoughts, our internal dialogue. And when you start to examine that dialogue and you see how specific thoughts make you feel and act in a certain way, and you see the possibility to reframe your thinking, to change your thoughts, your cognitive reactions to things, then the amount of negative emotion that you have to deal with diminishes. And that's pretty nice. So I think you can see this is a comprehensive approach. It really, it attacks these three pathways in all their soft points. And on its own, it's an effective solution. But we go farther. Let's talk about the why to drink less. When you get a compelling why, it fuels you. It fuels the process. Let's talk about the why to drink less. So when people come to me, I ask, why do you want to drink less? They say, well, it's going to kill me if I don't stop. I don't want to end up like my uncle. I feel like it would help me lose some weight if I wasn't taking in all those empty calories. Well, those are good reasons, but they're not compelling. They have no power to pull you through a process. They're essentially kind of negative and fear-based. How can I get away from something bad? And fear is really potent, really strong when it comes to motivating you in the short term. But fear is not a long-term motivator. Fear over long stretches of time is really basically paralyzing. So we need to find a way to come up with your why. And we do this with just a couple of simple questions. What do you want? And why do you want it? So we could take like the idea of losing some weight as a result of drinking less. Even that, as much as that's a good goal, it's not very compelling. It's not motivating to people. But why do you want that? Maybe you want that so you can play a sport or do an activity that would be meaningful to you. Or maybe you want it because it would make you feel more confident. Maybe you're a single guy and you're dating and you feel like losing weight would help. When we can start to identify the good things that are going to come to us in our life as a result of doing some hard thing, like learning how to drink less, then we create positive emotion that can pull us through the process. And that's what we need. That's the kind of fuel that we need. we can go even farther than kind of analyzing what do you want, why do you want it. That's good stuff. But then I like to help my clients, and I do this for myself with my own goals. How will you feel when you have that thing? What will that pride feel like? Like that pride of being a good parent, of being a good example to your son. What will that confidence feel like when you've lost that weight? What will the satisfaction feel like and the enjoyment when you get to do that sport that you're able to do when you've lost that weight? If you will do this, if you will put yourself in a place of visualizing these things you want and actually create for yourself the emotion that you'll feel then, you will create such a positive energy that can pull you through any kind of a difficult process. I recommend doing it at least once a week. Once a day is even better. And you'll really get benefit from this. And then finally, it really gets good. This question, what's next? Once you solve this drinking thing, what would you like to do then? Maybe you'd like to put your energy towards fixing your marriage, bringing some trust and intimacy and fun back into your marriage. Maybe it's time to leave your marriage, but you want to do it in a way that's thought out, that's planned, that doesn't leave you broke and bitter. Maybe what's next is you want to become a triathlete or run a marathon or take up rock climbing or something crazy like that. Or maybe what's next is to make a big change in your career, to start that business you've thought about, to get out of that job that's driving you crazy and find a way to make a living that is satisfying, that's fulfilling, that gives you some time freedom. I love working on this what's next with people. Get the drinking thing out of the way, solve it, and move on to these bigger and better things. So if this sounds good to you, if you could see yourself going through this process to turn the volume down on your 3 pathways so that it becomes easy to drink less, so you could get these things you want, if you can imagine yourself having a different level of confidence and getting your self-esteem back and feeling pride at having solved this problem and having then the bandwidth and the skills and the energy to go on to some next big thing, something that will really move your life forward, then I'd love to talk with you. I offer a free call where we talk specifically about how these 3 pathways are showing up in your life. We'll create your vision, create your why of why you want to do this and what is the good thing that you want to be moving toward. And make a plan, basically. It's an easy call. I know that some people are embarrassed to get on the phone to talk about these things. And I find that that embarrassment dissipates with the people that I'm having the conversation with in a couple minutes. And we have an easy back and forth. And I guarantee that you'll go away from the call feeling better than when you started. You'll have more clarity on why you're where you're at in your situation. And better yet, you'll have an understanding of how you can get out of it. Maybe using my help, maybe doing your own thing. But either way, the contents of that call and the energy that you take from it is really valuable. So if you'd like to do that, there's a button down below this. Click that button. It'll take you to my scheduler. You can find a slot. We could be talking in a couple days, and who knows what great things could happen from there. I want to thank you for watching, and I wish you a great day and a great life.